Hey, what's up everyone? Raging Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun as always. And oh my god, did you know that the interwebs is destroying society? Or maybe it's not. Obviously, I'm here to make the case for it's not. But a little bit of a backstory first. I recently had a little discussion about the internet, funny enough, with a guy on one of my previous videos. And when I say a discussion, I actually mean it, a normal discussion. Not a blood sport or a shouting match or flinging insults, none of that. Kinda rare these days, so it was kinda refreshing. And I've been doing the YouTube thing for long enough that I'm a lot more efficient/lazy now. I don't spend that much time typing up big responses to somebody, unless I also plan on double dipping and also making a video on it later. So, Cliff Notes version. This dude is not a big fan of the alleged effect that the internet is having on society as a whole. I vehemently disagree. And in this video, I will not be doing some point-by-point debunking because that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just using his base arguments as a springboard to get my own views out in full support of the internet and what it has done to society out to all of you guys. Then all of you can discuss it further in the comments. I'm actually looking forward to that. Either way, here we go. First off, the obvious point I have to make. Hating on the internet and saying it's ruining society. It's almost as if the same thing has been said about literally every other major advancement in communications and entertainment technology. Going as far back as books, actually. That's something they don't really teach you in school anymore, huh? Back when the printing press was invented and the plebs were learning how to read and could have their own books, the established order wasn't too happy about that either. So books were the devil that was destroying society. And I'm sure you could go back even further. They were probably saying the same thing about stage plays too, if you go back far enough. But either way, we go through this every single time, and yet, every single time, here we are, still around, and in fact better off than ever before. In my opinion, thinking the internet is ruining society is really nothing more than a sign that you're just an out-of-touch old fart. It's kind of like that old meme making fun of those people who complain about how kids these days are just zombies that spend all their time staring into their phones while they're out in public instead of talking to people. And then the response to that is the black and white picture from decades ago of a whole bunch of guys sitting on the bus, all of them with their heads in their newspapers, not talking to anybody. My, how far we've come. And another specific thing that this guy brought up that I think we need to get into is his belief that the internet actually shares some fault that people don't understand sarcasm nowadays. And that claim especially I have to completely and vehemently disagree with because what I have observed is the exact opposite. Now, your mileage may vary, and if it does, then please share in the comment sections below. But I base my belief on the fact that literally, not just figuratively, but literally, every single person I have ever met in meat space that can't understand sarcasm was aged 50 plus. All the younger folk, even those who disagree with me in what I say, seem to give off the impression that they are more than capable of understanding sarcasm. They just often conveniently choose not to in order to try to score some cheap shots at you, like taking what you said out of context, for instance. Taking something literally when you said it sarcastically reverses the meaning after all. So it's just a dirty tactic, but they know you said it sarcastically. They're just doing it on purpose to be malicious. But again, this is just my own personal observation from interactions I have with real-life people. If you have different experiences, again, please share them in the comments. Then we get to another point, that the internet has somehow created a fear of human contact among young people. In my opinion, it's not a matter of being terrified of human contact. It's a matter of learning firsthand how overrated it actually is. I, for one, go out of my way to avoid it in most cases, with exceptions being gatherings with friends and family. Because it does tend to cause a lot more stress than it allegedly alleviates when you are literally just trying to accomplish some goal. All I'm trying to do is accomplish my weekly shopping. I don't need to be stuck in a crowd the entire time I'm doing it. But then again, this is me we're talking about. I've admitted on multiple occasions that I would be a hermit if I could afford it. But I understand not everyone is as introverted as I am. Either way though, a lot of people are mad that we now have a better option, basically. If you really think about it, a lot of stuff that humans do, we do simply because it is the best out of all of the shitty options we have available to us. As soon as some better option shows up that gives us what we want for less, our behaviors change. Now, this may have a devastating effect on some societal norms, But that alone doesn't mean the new behavior is bad. Maybe it just means the old norms were bad and simply the best out of all the other shitty options we had available to us. And I'm not expecting you guys to agree with me on that, I just want to give you something to think about. If nothing else, just consider this. Just because something has always been done some way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid. Or perhaps it's just outdated. And this is definitely one problem we have to work out in current year. Humans have evolved to live in an environment and a society that is vastly different from the one we actually currently live in the first world. So there is in fact a lot of dissonance that we're gonna have to address. And while, as it should be obvious by now, I fully support the internet and what it's done to modern society as a whole, and all the wonderful things it's accomplished, I am willing to admit it does have issues, or rather, it's caused certain issues. Oh, never mind, the internet didn't cause any of these issues, it just shined a spotlight on them. It made us know we have them. But even then, so far anyway, the benefits vastly outweigh the issues. Though I still think we should work out the issues as best as we can. Nothing wrong with striving for perfection. Yeah, we all know we're never gonna get there, but we're gonna be better by the time we stop than we were when we started. And now we get to what's possibly, in my opinion anyway, one of the most important points. And that is, thanks to the internet, we can communicate with people all over the world. Distance, national borders, none of that matters. Previously, your community was set. It was whoever is closest in proximity to you, which I've realized, again thanks to the internet, is total bullshit in my opinion. Since it's entirely possible that you have nothing in common with all those people who just happen to be in close proximity to you. But now, thanks to the internet, you can find other people that you do actually share some things in common with, even if they happen to be on the complete opposite side of the planet. I don't know about you guys, but the people I consider my community are the people who are similar to me intellectually, not close by physically or who share the same physical characteristics. And if not for the internet, I'd be stuck being forced to deal with people I hate just because they are close to me. And while on the same topic actually, let's not forget the ability to simply tune out when dealing with people starts to get way too annoying. Now before I go any further with this one though, I have to point out, if you are actually trying to work through a real problem, then it's not recommended you just walk away from it. But when it's just some bullshit e-peen sizing argument and nothing productive will come of it anyway, regardless of who wins or loses, it's wonderful to just be able to log off of that forum, turn off your computer, switch to a different tab and come back to it a few hours later when you've calmed down, etc., and just walk away. It's amazing being able to do that without having some idiot following you around shrieking, "I'm not done yet, you're not going anywhere till I'm done talking." And as I've mentioned in previous videos too, since I've moved out on my own, the ability to simply do this, to walk away, has vastly improved my relationships with everyone I previously dealt with in real life on a daily basis, mainly my parents and my sister. When I was forced to live under the same roof as them, and I was just trying to walk away because everyone was just getting mad and I wanted to cool down because we're not accomplishing anything, but they disagreed, they just kept pushing until I snapped and then I was the villain all of a sudden. But now, not a problem anymore. Soon as they start getting annoying, I just hang up the phone or I leave and go home. Or I tell them to go home if it's in my house. And the same goes for them too. They can hang up on me or tell me to go home. And we've never gotten along better. Though this does actually bring me to one of the disadvantages I definitely concede when it comes to the internet and the effect it's had on people, specifically with regards to what I just talked about. Unfortunately, just being able to leave arguments the moment they start pissing you off does tend to slowly lead to the erosion of someone's ability to deal with conflict in meat space, where you don't have the option to just leave. That is a skill you need to be mindful of and make sure you don't lose it. Because let's face it, spurging out on someone in real life like you do on the internet will just lead to your life being destroyed, especially if it was your boss or a coworker you did it to. And another of the major advantages, at least for me personally, is that thanks to the internet, I have discovered hobbies, items, people, etc. that I never would have even known existed if it wasn't for the internet. It has vastly expanded my world in ways that I can't even think of, honestly. Every time I think about it, I realize the effect is a lot greater than I originally thought it was. It just keeps growing. It's awesome. And I am extremely thankful for this too, because I realize that if it wasn't for the internet, I would have been stuck being limited to whatever the hell my local community has and or will allow. The internet is what has introduced me to almost everything that I enjoy in life. And not just online in the context of the internet, but offline in meat space as well. So especially when it comes to situations like this, the sooner the old ways are destroyed, the better in my opinion. And before my voice gives out for good, finally, if you are an extrovert and you have some problem with any of what I just said, then the solution for you is simple. Just find like-minded people on the internet if you want to, funny enough, and hang out with them in person. You can do that. Nobody is going to stop you. You can have all the human contact you want, again, as long as it's with like-minded people. If you're mad because you know a few introverts that would rather not deal with you face-to-face, then it's kind of selfish to force them to, don't you think? So yeah, you can have all the face-to-face contact you want. But know that if you try to destroy the awesomeness that the rest of us have now just because you don't like it, and apparently wouldn't want anyone else to enjoy it either, then expect me to try to destroy you first. Fact is, without the internet to free me from the society I'm physically stuck in, I'd be absolutely miserable, and I'm not the only one. So what about you guys? Where do you stand on this? I'm looking forward to some fun times in the comments. And that's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for listening.